this particular session of the coaching with compassion and coaching for compliance, we will see it is very important, that is what is your approach, right. We have discussed the employee engagement also. In the employee engagement we have seen there is the requirement of the vigor, absorption and dedication as per the Schofall is concerned. Some employees are engaged in the coaching job with the compliance because they are working on that particular post, that is their bread and butter. So, they have to make this particular job as per the rules, while some people they are becoming the coach on of their own with the compassion, and therefore, irrespective of to talk about that is whether it is right or wrong, this or that, it is there are different styles are there, and every style is appropriate at the right time at the right place, right. We cannot say that is the X style is better and the Y style is bad, or the Y style is better and the X style is bad, because both the styles are applicable at the right time. So, when which style is to be applicable and what is this style is, that we will talk about in this particular session. So, first and foremost we will talk about the building the resonant relationships, the pool of emotional attractors, expectation confirmation theory, and the discussion of the value of the peer coaching is there. So, building resonant relationships, before this we have already talked in our previous session that coaching will be more successful when the coaching relationship is based on trust and support. Always it is better, that is there has been this coaching relationship is their trust and support is there. While coaches are responsible for helping the coaches develop strategies and approaches that move them towards their ideal self, that what is their self is there, and there is a deeper dynamic at play here. And high quality connections, interactions that make people more engaged, open to new ideas, vital and motivated, as well as making them feel more valued as individuals. These relationships are grounded in a feedback loop where each person feeds off the feeling and thoughts of the other and is tuned in to the other's emotional state at any given moment is there. So, therefore, in that case when we are talking about the sympathy and empathy, right. So, therefore, you have been tuned up in the other's shoes. So, therefore, it is tuned into the other's emotional state, what other is feeling. So, it is that making that interaction so that the people are engaged and they are open to new ideas. Then feel more valued as individuals, that let them feel that they are very much highly valuable. These relationships are grounded in a feedback loop where each person feeds off the feelings, what type of the feelings are there, and thoughts of the other, naturally when we are talking about the empathy is concerned. This reflects a deep sense of empathy on the part of the coach, as I was mentioning, that is when the learner is there. So, when in the learning process this becomes very important, one theory, that is a social cognitive learning, and in social cognitive learning it is the learning is from the society, from the people surrounding to you, people those who are the part of your life. So, therefore, when you are learning something, what is their response? How they are taking the situation, and whether they are able to understand your situation. If they are able to understand your situation, then definitely in that case it will be said that is the yes, it is the learning by the social cognitive theory, and where there is the most important part is the empathy. If there is an empathy, then definitely in that case it becomes very important, that is the how we are going to develop that particular aspect, the understanding of others, right. And you will be very enough lucky, that is you are getting a coach who is having the empathy with you. So, it is not focused only on the compliance, it is a focus with the compassion. So, they are not merely striving to develop the coaches as a means to an end, that is the point. It is not only to a way, it is a job, right, but genuinely care for them as a personal level. They take it as a family, it is a baby or child. So, therefore, the learner is a child of the coach, and that parental attitude and that will develop that type of the direction, so that the child becomes the expert. Or you can say the mentor-mentee relationship or the teacher-student relationship, right. So, therefore, this is very, very important. If it is just a means to end, then in that case it will not be the next level coaching. You see, the next level coaching is very, very important. So, therefore, it is very, very necessary, that is when you are talking about, that is the how you are going for this particular coaching, then in that coaching it is necessary you are taking the emotional well-being of the coaches. If the coaches are the emotionally well-being, then definitely they will be going for the personhood to the their mentee. So, here it is the relationship between the personhood and emotional well-being of the coaches, then definitely there is a binding, emotional binding is there, which is required, right. So, in this way, when we talk about this resonant relationships, that is, what is the resonant relationship is there. The rapport and goodwill in resonant relationship, that is the emotional level, lay the foundation upon which productive, it is not only the number of the quantity, how many have been trained, but rather than it is the quality. So, that quantity and quality, that is giving you the productivity, that is a productive coaching engagements. So, when we talk about the employee engagement, employee involvement, job concentration, job centricity, job satisfaction. So, therefore, it is a productive coaching engagement is there, and naturally that will flourish. When coaches feel cared for and connected to, they will be open to a greater range of possibilities for growth and development. Naturally, whenever the coaches are cared for and connected, then naturally all the strengths and weaknesses, that will be measured, and it will not only be measured, but it will be taken care of. So, whenever they feel cared, and then because of that connectivity is there, and when it is cared, weaknesses are also cared, they will be open to a greater range of possibilities. Explore, that exploring is very, very important is there, and but for that exploring, the coach should be engaged not only for the bread and butter, but for the development. Range of possibilities for growth and development is there, and this is for both, because when the coach will give the best results, automatically he will become more in demand, more popular, more respected, more wanted, more appreciated. So, therefore, in that case it is a possibilities for the growth and development. By showing compassion, coaches can help usher in an exchange between the two parties, that not only fosters the professional progression. So, therefore, it is not only the professional progression, it is not only the one to one give and take relationship, right, but also drives the coaches towards the realization of their ideals. That is, yes, to being the best and most complete individual they can envision for themselves. So, they can see themselves that they are the best person, like what they were looking as an ideal. So, that type of personality, in that case the resonant relationships. So, resonant relationship will be having that compassion also, that trust also, that respect also. And then when this type of the realization is there and development is there of the mentee, and when coaches feel cared for and connected also. So, from every side. So, it is an emotional bonding, and therefore, it is not only rational and logical and just to doing for the doing sake, right, but rather than it is for the commitment. And whenever there is a commitment, naturally there will be more satisfaction, more growth, better opportunities and development will be there. So, the pool of the emotional attractors, right. So, here we will find positive and negative. So, one is the hope. What drives a person? That is the hope. Hope, and this hope carries a person forward. So, even the person is in the unfavorable and adversable situation, but his hope, one fine morning, one day he will be able to overcome these problems will be, truth will win, right. And therefore, that hope, that confidence for the winning, maybe the smart or the hard, and therefore, in all cases that hope is the root is the hope is there. Then there is a pride, that is of the success. Empathy, already I have talked, it is not the sympathy, rather than it is empathy, putting yourself in emotional connect to the others. So, this coaches cycles through the discovery phases of the intentional change in terms of emotional attractors, both positive and negative emotions attractors are there. So, whenever there is a positive and negative, like the fear, hate, regret, then the shame, sadness, guilt, anger. Now, these both positive and negative emotions attractors are there, and these positive emotions attractors and negative emotional attractors represent two states composed of distinctive psychological, physiological and neurological characteristics. So, that psychologically it is going to be making the tremendous change. So, one is the win, other is to lose, one is the success, other is to failure. So, that positive emotional attractors, these one, right, they should be encouraged. So, what happens? That is a psychological, what moves a person? His psychological power, it moves a person from the one point to the his destination. And physiological, therefore, we find many times that is even the persons are weak, but physiologically there is some problem, but in spite of that they are the best. So, what is it? That is the psychological is compensating the physiological disabilities, and neurological characteristics are the willingness to win, to do, I can, that create a force, they attracting the pull around individuals behaviors here. It is a beautiful connect, that is the whether your positive emotions, faith, joy, love, hope, pride, empathy, happiness, these are the attractors, emotional attractors, or fear, hate, regret, guilt, shame, sadness, anger is the attractor. What do you allow and what coach will allow? Coach will allow the PEA, positive emotional attractors. That creates a force, the attracting the pull around individuals behavior, and that will making the pull around behavior and beliefs about themselves and others. So, when that confidence comes because of the positive emotions, right. So, that makes a totally change, and that is why that pool of emotional attractors is there. So, always remember, my submission is to you is always remember these positive emotional attractors to follow, and always understand these negative emotional attractors. Once you will understand this, you will have the reflection as to minimize these emotions as much as possible. Once you will understand, then it is by choice, it is always by choice. What is your choice? Your choice is positive emotions or your choice is negative emotion, because who is creating the emotions? Me, myself, my brain. So, what I allow? If I allow the negative emotions, negative. If I allow the positive emotions, positive. So, therefore, in that case it is me what I allow. So, attracting, these attractors are there, what attracts you more, and therefore, it should be positive attractors are there. Now, we will come having the outline of the neural and hormonal basis of these attractors. The positive emotional attractors activates default mode network. It is a discrete brain network that is activated when an individual is in a resting state, right. So, that is the brain network, right. So, therefore, how your brain is working, it is attracted with a default state, but is also implicated in relational exchange and empathic reasoning. Wonderful. So, therefore, that type of the relational exchanges are there, those emotional exchanges are there, and what is the basis? As I mentioned earlier in the coaches, that is the empathy. So, empathetic reasoning is there. So, activation of this network also allows for openness to ideas and the ability to form meaningful social bonds. Always try to develop these positive emotional attractors. So, your activation is done into the positive side, and once you are becoming a positive personality, your openness to ideas is always possible, because what is happening, that is the in the meeting, in the group activity, in the organization, in the family. When you are with the positive open ideas, your brain is set for openness to ideas is there. Why you will oppose somebody? What you will say? Let us try, let me see, and the ability to form meaningful social bonds are there. And when you will support like this somebody, okay, your idea, let me try, I do not reject your idea, let us see what happens, let us have an experimentation. And if this type of the behavior is there, then definitely you will find the meaningful social bonds are there. So, if you want to develop the meaningful social bonds, please be have the default mode network. Now, the task positive network, TPN. The TPN, the task positive network, is the brain network associated with the analytical and task oriented activity. So, here it is the relational exchange and resting default. Here is with the analytical and task oriented activity as and it is the independent, right. So, therefore, independent of the DMN is there. So, it is activated when individual engaged in social directed activity from where? Here. Openness to ideas, meaningful social bonds. When social bonds are there, there will be the engagement. Goal directed activity is there. While this serves obviously useful purposes, because this is a default mode network, the DMN is the default mode network. So, when activity is independent of the default mode network, when it is not at the resting, it is activated, and what is activated? Goal directed activities, that is what you want to achieve. While this serves obviously useful purposes, naturally that your positive network that is directed towards the default mode network. So, that it has the detrimental effect, as is relevant to coaching, of making people defensive and problem or solution oriented. Your brain is active, your openness to ideas, there is certain problem, then definitely what you will try to do? You will try to do the people make defensive and problem solution oriented, that is required. So, in this the rather than promoting the openness and curiosity. So, it is the it will be the defensive in the problem and solution oriented is there, and then promoting the openness and curiosity. As I mentioned that every aspect is having its own understanding. So, here we will find that is the how positive emotional attractors, negative emotional attractors, that is the from the DMN default mode network to the TPN, that is a task positive network is there. So, default mode network is positive, developing bonding and openness to ideas, while the task positive network it is a detrimental effect of making people defensive and problem solution oriented. So, there will be the logical arguments rather than promoting the openness and curiosity. So, acceptance will not be there, there will not be the openness to ideas rather than promoting the openness, it will be defensive and problem solution oriented. The next dimension in this positive emotional attractor is, that is a parasympathetic nervous system, right. So, parasympathetic nervous system is that is a PNS, is one of the two division of the body's automatic nervous system. Arousal of this system allows for the healthy blood flow, muscle relaxation and restfulness. So, therefore, it is the whatever we are having, the healthy blood flow is there because it is a positive, and there will be the muscle relaxation and the restfulness is there among other functions, and is crucial for reducing stress and anxiety. So, parasympathetic nervous system is, it is the automatically making you relaxing, you will be relaxed. So, there will be no tension, and your muscle relaxation is there, positive blood flow is there, restfulness is there. So, it is reducing the stress and anxiety. While negative emotional attractor, that is the SNS, this is the parasympathetic, that is the sympathetic. So, in the sympathetic nervous system, in contrast to the parasympathetic nervous system, rest and digest function, which is the parasympathetic, centers on the human fight or flight response. Arousal of this hormonal system, because it is a contrast, this SNS is in contrast to the PNS. So, the arousal of this hormonal system constants blood flow. Here there is no problem of the blood flow is there, rather than arousal allows for the healthy blood flow. But in case of the SNS, sympathetic nervous system, there will be the problem of the blood flow. Tightens muscles, right, here is a relaxing the muscles, and shuffles the individual into a state of vigilance, while it is reducing the stress and anxiety. It is relaxing to the individual, while here you will find it is a state of vigilance. It promotes anxiety and restlessness, it is reducing the stress and anxiety, and reduces the ability of individual to focus. Please try to understand, that is when you want to be an effective manager, effective leader, you want to manage the talent. How will you manage the talent? Talent you will manage with the PNS, parasympathetic nervous system, and not by the sympathetic nervous system. You will be making the arousal of thoughts, creativity, and then reducing the stress and anxiety, restful muscle relaxation, not the tightness of muscles. The follows for the healthy blood flow, here is the constant blood flow. So, as equals to what you want? You are right, you want the parasympathetic nervous system, that is the positive is there. Now, we will see the role of the positive and negative emotional attractors. Positive emotional attractors are the activate your parasympathetic nervous system, that we talk, activate the default mode DMN of your brain, result in relaxation, in increased cognitive, emotional, perceptual and creative capacity. So, therefore, these are the outcomes. So, because of that positive emotional attractors, you will find that is it is increasing the cognitive, one perception to accept, one perception to understand, and therefore, it is becoming more emotional and perceptual. More and more emotional perceptual is there. So, ultimately what happens? That mentee, your trainee, right, he develops the creative capacity. So, therefore, developing the creative capacity is becoming very, very important. Then the positive emotional attractors include learning, as I mentioned social learning theory. So, learning is there, practicing, more and more practicing is there, hope, optimism, positive, play, gratitude, mindfulness, we have discussed earlier, that is how the person is concerned, and when he communicates you can find a mindfulness. Then resonant relationships, which we have talked about, resonant relationship is there, that is the coach is very positive, experimenting, and focus on strengths. What are your strengths are there, not on weaknesses. So, therefore, when you are talking about these strengths, you should be confident, you should really be able to deliver. So, therefore, focus on strengths and visioning is there, and this is all what is for what? For future. There is a vision, and to achieve that vision, these positive emotional attractors are used. But if there are negative emotional attractors, just opposite, activate your sympathetic nervous system, SNS, and activate the task positive network of your brain. Calm karo, calm do, calm ke baat karo, and result in stress and decreased cognitive. The stress will increase and cognitive will decrease, and the emotional, perceptual and creative capacity will decrease. That emotional development, personality, the balances, emotional quotient, nothing will be there, because negative emotional attractors. So, negative emotional attractors, what they do? That is the getting feedback, analyzing, everything is analyzing, logical, and I win, you lose, that type of attitude will be there, and problem solving, right. So, therefore, that will include the that what I cannot do, conflicting, and the expectations from self, that will be much more. It will be fear, pessimism, in spite of the hope, it will be pessimism, should do's, you should do, dissonant relationship is there. So, there is no personal cognitive dissonance, and focus on the weaknesses rather than the strengths are there. So, on basis of this, the expectation confirmation theory, coaches should be mindful of the effect of both neural networks and hormonal systems in the terms of their own coaches, right. What their individual needs are and what balance ought to be struck there, maximize the likelihood of the steering them toward their ideal self. This is the very important, ideal self, because nobody can create, we ourselves have to create that ideal self. So, that will be the ideal self. Given that trust and openness are critical for coaching relationship to flourish, coaches are to take all these emotional, neural and hormonal dimensions, right. So, there will be this type of the changes, hormonal changes will be there, and as a result this will better allow them to create a safe, positive learning environment in which the coaches can nurture and develop their talents. So, that talent management, because the coaches what they do, they develop the talent, and to nurture that talent, they are harnessing their particular talent, you allow them a safe and positive learning. That safe and positive learning environment, that is the wonderful idea for making the this particular successful positive attractions. Effective coaching requires establishing a higher ratio of the personal expectations of the personal emotions attractors to the negative emotional attractors, around 3:6:1, and doing so will promote openness, right, to ideas and the decrease of stress and anxiety on the part of the coaches. So, their relaxation, muscle relaxations, stress is relaxation, and the anxiety is reduced, while here in the negative emotional expectations NEA it is increased. To explore possibilities and move towards their ideal self is there. So, discussion of the value of peer coaching. The conditions created for positive social identity groups to emerge into an application of coaching with compassion, known as the peer coaching. Whatever is the peer coaching is there. As the name suggests, peer coaching is the coaching undertaken among and between friends, those who are working together, all are having that type of the understanding. Co-workers, colleagues, co-workers, and others like minded people from whom there is a relationship of equality. In the organization there are so many people with whom you are having the equality, you are developing that particular perception and respect. It is distinguished from most conventional coaching relationship, for which coaches are often coaching specialists and often a third party is there. So, they will doing this particular type of conditions. In peer coaching, the peers may be coach, coachee or both, The effectiveness of this approach to coaching stems from the nature of resonant relationship explored earlier. Relationships that sustain enduring the positive changes in the coachee, this resonance will be more achievable in relationships grounded in the strong, supportive, socially identity group within the organizations are there. So, you are developing a very positive relationships. By ensuring that the participants are involved with each other, and peer coaching becomes an enabling means of the prompting emotional and social intelligence among the peers. So, you are developing that social and emotional bonding. They help members of an organization to form better relationships, in turn leading to greater adaptability is there. Whenever this type of the implemented with the compassion, peer coaching relationships can become a new cultural norm within an organization, and the way in which the all people and not merely that is the C-suite executives can reap the benefits of coaching and compassion. It is not only selective, it is for all. It can improve organization bottom lines while stimulating allowing talent throughout to flourish, right, and then making the positive emotional attractors. So, finally, we can say coaching with compassion, an approach to coaching based on the resonant relationships and geared towards helping coaches make progress in their intentional change, is a more effective and human approach. That is the have to be the human based approach to coaching them traditional coaching practices, most of which are based on coaching for compliance. So, it is not that is the duty as a, rather than it is a human approach. Coaching toward intentional change is based on the transition through 5 discovery phases: the ideal self, the real self, setting a learning agenda, experimentation and practice, and building the resonant relationship is there. So, definitely when you want to develop your as an ideal self is there, you explore yourself as a real self, and then you want to reach to the ideal stage, so learning agenda is there, you go for the experimentation and practice, as a result you develop the resonant relationships. So, finally, I can say these 5 phases require cycling between 2 strange emotional attractors, right, the positive emotional attractors and the negative emotional attractors. The positive emotional attractors is primarily based on the positive emotions, brain default mode network and arousal of the parasympathetic nervous system. The negative emotional attractor is primarily based on negative emotions, activation of the brain's task positive network and arousal of the sympathetic nervous system, which is not favorable. So, therefore, it is expected that is a coaching, in addition to compliance, it should be supported by the compassion. So, that will help us to develop our talented employees or our talented the human beings surrounding to us into an assets to the society. Thank you.